when was the time where you felt like an extra dollar wouldn't increase your happiness? When did you feel like any additional cash wouldn't make any difference in your life quality?
I felt that when I was, I think, around 33 or 34 years old, I wouldn't be able to consume the wealth I had at that point. And I knew right then that incremental spending at that point would not increase happiness. I was aware of the fact that after 33 or 34, that basically there was going to be very strong likelihood of extra wealth, but trying to come up with some way to spend it or even spend part of it would not have increased happiness. Even now, I always look at how can I make myself happier? I'm very, very happy with life, right? If there are things that money can do that could make me happier, I'd be the first to execute on that, right? So, but there are very few things at this point. I mean, when you get past a certain base level, it's not going to increase happiness. I mean, I really appreciate that Buffett and Munger had many conversations between themselves about their homes, right? Munger built his home in the 1960s. I visited that house many times for having meals with him. He raised his kids over there, and he'd been living in that home for like 6 decades. Very happy. You would pass it, you would not even look at it twice. It wouldn't stand out in any way. And we've seen Buffett's house as well. That's like he's been there for more than 70 years, right? And so both of these individuals talked to each other about this, and they noticed that they had friends who were obviously much less wealthy than them, who were buying big mansions and whatever else, right? They just didn't see that doing any of that was going to make them happier. In fact, I subscribe. Munger and Buffett are a little bit different in the sense that when Munger passed away, he had maybe half a dozen or more homes. I mean, I know there was one in Newport Beach. There might be a couple in Hawaii. There was at least 2 or 3 in Santa Barbara. And then he had his home in LA and so on. Of course, in Minnesota where he went fishing and so on. He would tell me that Warren had a second home in Laguna Beach, which his wife wanted to go for the Christmas holidays and all that. And he said that before Susie's ashes had turned cold, he had put that house up for sale. Okay, so he had one second home, which his wife wanted, and he was happy to do that for her. He used to start writing the annual letter from the Laguna home when he went there in December. But he didn't need it, right? I look at my friend Guy, for example, who has many homes. And to me, that's a headache. I think if I had a second home, not only would it not make me happier, it would actually make me unhappy because it would just add burdens. I'm happy with no travel. I'm happy with one home. There's very few things that money can do that can make you happier. And there's many things money can do that can make you unhappy. There's more travel, there's more human interaction, the life is more frantic and all that. It wouldn't be of much interest. Now, I would end up with more money to give away, right? The giving away money for me has never been about any legacy or anyone patting me on the back or in any way feeling good. I was not looking, I am still am not looking for any kind of reward of any kind from that activity. It actually was designed, and this is how I conceived it almost 2 decades ago. And it's how it is today, is I like playing games and I like playing math games. And Dakshana, and I tell this to the students when I meet them, I said, I'm so sorry to disappoint you, but you're part of a math game in my head. I'm not actually doing this because I have some great love to make your life better. I know that your life is becoming a lot better, which is wonderful. But for me, it's really more about the cold calculus of the game that is what is most exciting. So the game I'm playing is that I have a compounding engine that is hopefully increasing wealth for the next 29 years and months, so on. And I have an engine which is trying to give that wealth away, right? Now, if we are able to compound at, let's say, a 15% rate of return, right? It would double every 5 years. So approximately 6 doubles. 6 doubles is 64x, right? So that's a significant amount of money multiplication. Plus I'm getting fees on other people's money and all that. So it'd be more than that. So to me, the great challenge, and I don't know whether I'll be able to meet this challenge, and I'll be disappointed if I didn't meet the challenge, but it's a really tough challenge, is one day before I die, June 10th, 2054, I want to have $10,000 left, or maybe even $5,000 left. That'd be even better. Okay, now, if a day before I die, there's 3 billion left, I have failed. I lost the game. Now, the difficulty with this challenge is I don't want to give the money to Red Cross because the Red Cross is, with due respect, suboptimal, right? So for me, the challenge is be left with 10,000, but to have it given away in a manner that any critical observer would say that was fantastic. Not my friend saying that was fantastic. Someone who's a critic looks at it and says that was fantastic. Now, to me, it's extremely challenging because as the numbers get larger, giving money away is more difficult than making it. And I have a lot of respect for Chuck Feeney. You know, the book, The Billionaire Who Wasn't, which is a great book. And Chuck Feeney died with very little money, rented apartment in San Francisco. Awesome. But that journey is not an easy journey, but it's a fun journey. It's a really fun game for me. I know the compounding end is pretty autopilot. That part I have no concerns about. It's the other side because, for example, the current program that we run at Dakshana, where we're spending about $3 million a year. Once we are spending about $7 million a year, we cannot spend any more money in that endeavor. We run out of seats and brains and all of that. So what if I had $100 million a year to give away, which hopefully will happen at some point? Well, that program can only take 7 million. I don't know today what I would do with the other 93 million. And if the other 93 million doesn't go into endeavors that make the critics say that was awesome, that's terrible. So that's the challenge. That's the whole focus of this life, is playing this game.